during my 7 years in Eastern Ukraine and going daily into Russia-occupied Ukraine between 2015 and 2018, at Stanitsa Luhanska, which is the border, a river that borders Russia-occupied Ukraine and Ukrainian government-controlled Ukraine. This information space which Russia created inside Russia-occupied Ukraine, which contained all of these folkloric elements of that Ukrainian mercenaries 10,000 Polish mercenaries were collecting on one side of the river and were going to come in and eat your children, and just thousands of articles every day. This was also matched by something I didn't know at the time, but every single news broadcast in Russia, radio, TV, across the whole of Russia, every day from 2014 onwards, contained references to mythical attacks which never happened, shellings of buildings in Donetsk and in Luhansk by Ukrainian military. These never happened. I was often on the spot when these attacks were supposed to have happened. And both of these elements, I couldn't understand what was going on. This desinfolklore apparatus constantly brainwashing people into believing in a reality that didn't exist, both inside Russia-occupied Ukraine, was about preparing Ukrainians inside Russia-occupied Ukraine into thinking they're no longer Ukrainian, they're Russian. And not only that, but that Ukrainians are coming in, and NATO and Polish mercenaries are coming across this river, across this boundary to kill them and eat their children and do all sorts of things. And what was going on in Russia is what I think for 7-8 years, they were being prepared to kill Ukrainians, both on an individual level, but also as a society, to tolerate the evisceration of all of these cities, like Mariupol and Severodonetsk, where I lived from 2015 to 2018. And I spoke to hundreds of elected leaders in Russia, in Eastern Ukraine, between 2015 and 2022, and the story they told me led me to conclude that Ukraine would resist. It will never surrender to Russian aggression, and this was even before the full-scale invasion. And so that anyone who thinks about peace, that Ukraine will somehow surrender, it just doesn't understand Ukrainians, Ukraine, and what they've gone through. But for me, it's also a question of what the Russians would be happily shelling Lisbon if they could get there. If they could get their MLRS into the outskirts of Lisbon, they'd be happy as Larry to shell it, because they've had 8 years of desinfolklore promoted inside all of their news, all of their TV programs, about how we're all attacking them, we're all against them, and if they don't kill us, we're going to kill them first. And my fear, I don't know what's coming. None of us know what's coming next in America, but my concern is the structural similarities between MAGA desinfolklore and the lies and the truthiness which is broadcast, which got Donald elected. Quite a